guys, welcome back to Ask Jim, back for another round of Q&A here with the founder and CEO of the Gyms Group. Jim, how are you?
Yeah.
Good. All right, we're going rapid fire, no guests this week. Right, we're just going to get through as many questions as we physically can.
Because we didn't get through everything last week. People asked questions and we didn't get to them, which we like to try and do.
Yes. So a couple of things just before we start. Last week we did Home Fresh, right? Jim's Home Fresh launched. Another division launched this week. Jim's Cob Loaf. Had the winners of the logo come down. Yeah,
not actually a new division, but I tell you what, they're great. They're great people. James is fantastic. We'd love him to do Jim's digital marketing if we could.
Yeah, they came down came through your ethos. They loved the call center. They went in there, took a look around. They loved it.
Very impressive people. Actually, what they did a brilliant job on the social media and stuff. They killed it. It wasn't so much Jim's Cob Loaf was such a great idea, but it was fantastic the way they promoted it. They got masses of people too.
Yeah, they really gamed that competition. They were pretty switched on. They knew what they were doing. You also hand delivered a Cob Loaf to them, so you did your first Jim's Cob Loaf delivery. Also, we had our training this week, right? We had our new training theatre, which Tony spent a long time getting all the new seats in there. So everyone agreed that the seats were pretty comfortable.
Very good.
Compared to what they used to be, which
I told them how privileged they are to be the first people to use our new seating system.
Only other things I've got is you can follow Jim at the Jim Penman on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all of that. We also have a podcast coming out on Monday if you do want more Gyms related content. And we've got our live audience here who submitted a lot of questions. So, on to the questions. First question from last week was left by David McDonald. Question was, do you think low interest rates are good or bad?
Yeah, well, it's I never understood the low interest rates, actually. Why don't they just print some more money? If they want 2% interest, you buy up all these government bonds and pay down the debt and 2%. I think it's a bit ludicrous, though. What I find really incredible is that people are lending money to governments at negative.
Yes.
Now, I mean, goodness gracious, you can do almost anything with money. You could buy property in Australia where you can get a full 5% rate of return. You could buy a Jim's Group franchise. You get about a 300% return. I mean, why would you give the government money just to not do anything with it, just to give you less back? It's just crazy. It makes no sense to me.
Caleb in the live feed says hello. Caleb always watches, which is fantastic. Sal John, who's with Gyms Plus, and I've got a question about Gyms Plus coming up. He says, hey guys, thanks for tuning in. Yeah. Eric and Ricky. So Ricky from Jim's Dog Wash. And Eric from Mobile Cafe has left a question. A big shout out and congratulations to Darren, who was just done the training this week for carpet cleaning. A fantastic bloke. Welcome to the Gyms family. Is he in the audience? Yeah, there he is.
There's Darren. There you are.
Next question, again left from last week. This is from Derek Spice. A little bit meta since we're on Ask Jim, but he says, "Hey guys, is there a specific purpose for Ask Jim to attract more franchisees, communicate more with current franchisees, or more communication overall?"
Well, all of the above. Derek's an interesting character, actually. It's a good example. Derek actually wrote me a email some time back, and he was actually one of the people that suggested the survey system. So which we took up, and he's also had an influence too, because Derek emails me about once a week on average, and he's also given feedback on the fact that he thinks it's sometimes a bit tough and we should soften it up in some of the aspects to it. So he's just one of the franchisees that's had a big influence on the way we've run things.
Yeah, his follow-up question was, did you notice the jump on productreview.com.au from 4.7 to 4.8?
Yes, well, we do pretty well.
Yeah, we do indeed. David Rump from Jim's Dog Wash, Western New South Wales, says hi. Hader has said, hey guys, doing a great job, Jake. Thanks, Hader. Always appreciate it. Belinda says hi from Jim's Dog Wash, North Queensland.
A lot of dog wash around.
They're everywhere.
They're all over the place. They're red like a red plague. You can see them in the audience back there. And they make a lot of noise too during training. They always make a huge ruckus whenever the people go through, like when you came through today. Yeah, that's right. You always know dog washers around, that's for sure.
All right, so we'll get to our first question from the audience, and this question is from Chris.
Yes. The question was, what is the next division in gyms?
the next one? Well, actually, we're looking at a few. We've had starting up. We had concreting and Jim's floors in the past, which we're looking at starting again. We've got a guy called Rocco, who's one of our great franchisors, who's going to help us with that. And we're looking at Jim's plastering and Jim's tiling. Some of those ones. We love the things that have got to do with physical work. They're really good.
Well, thinking about Jim's lawyers at one stage. You had that on the cards?
Well, it's sort of going in Queensland, yeah.
Yeah.
So there's always great stuff around.
Always changing things, always starting new things up. Stacey has gone, hi Jim.
Oh, Jim's graffiti removal. Somebody came to us with Jim's graffiti removal. That's
oh yeah,
that's a good one.
Yeah.
We
had,
it's a big problem actually, and they're specialists. And I know what they do. Things they clean up the graffiti, and they also put surfaces on which stop people putting it on in
a lot
in
of
future.
government work too, there, so it's nice and secure.
Yeah.
Stacey has gone, hi Jim. What's the biggest thing? What's the best thing about joining Jim's dog wash team?
Got a wonderful divisional.
Have to be great support as well.
Sharon is a legend in Jim's. She's just amazing. She's a great support, great at selling. If everybody was like Sharon, we'd be growing about 100% per annum. But yeah, so but it's a good division. It's a great division. A lot of work. Enormous demand for work. I had just seeing an email back today or a survey back today. Somebody complaining that just couldn't service them because there's just too much demand for the service. So it's brilliant actually.
We'll get to our next question here from Nat in the audience.
Yeah.
There we go.
Hi Jim. Other than the name, why should someone choose Jim's?
Good question.
Well, they should choose it because they do their research properly. If you're interested in a franchise, you get a list of the current franchisees of that system, and you ring them, and then you do that for Jim's. You do that for any other company that you like to name, any other of our competitors, and you choose the one in which the franchisee is the most positive about the system, which will be ours. I can tell you that. But you should still do the research, because generally speaking, our people are happier. But look, if they're not, if there's a system out there that gives better support than we do, then join that one too. Do your research is what I would say, absolutely. And I respect that. In fact, when we look at, tomorrow morning I'll be talking to my franchisors, trainee franchisors, about how to choose good people. And one of the best ways to choose them is to find somebody who's done their research.
So we'll go to that was a great question. We'll go to our next question. It's from Manic Deer. I'm sorry if I pronounced that wrong. He says, I have a question. When can we see the division Jim Scientists? We know you love your science. Did you start up a division for it?
No, not really.
No, not a lot of money in science. Yeah.
Well, no, I've got a major scientific project running, which is in the basic biochemistry of mental illness, which I think has got very good potential to help people with those kinds of problems, which is a very big thing in gyms. That's a personal passion. But what we're good at is service businesses, where somebody contacts us, books online, rings the call center and says, I want something done. Now, whether it's washing dogs or mowing lawns or legal services, or no matter what it is, that's the kind of thing we do well. We don't get into site-based franchises because they're very different. That's not our skill level. So even though it seems like we do everything, in actual fact, we're very narrowly focused. And so I think one of the great illusions people have is because you're good at one thing, you'll be good at other things too. We stick to our own industry.
Yeah, it's very niche when you actually look at it.
Yeah.
A lot of people think that Jim does everything. We see on the daily. People think what else will Jim throw his hat at? But it's a very, very tight, narrow.
Our contracts are 99% the same. The basic franchisee manual is the same. It's extremely similar. We do one thing. We try to do that very, very well. I think science is exciting. It's wonderful. We were just talking today about somebody who's been career, isn't that right?
Oh yes, actually. I did my PhD in biochemistry.
Yeah, that's right. So we're talking about worms and calorie restriction and stuff at dinner tonight. But yeah, so it's a great subject, but not as a gym division.
No, not going to see a gym scientist.
No.
Maybe with like a little beaker in the background floating around anytime soon. Next question we had submitted through us through the Ask Jim website. This was from Steve from Jim's Cleaning. It's quite a long question. But quite good. So, are there any plans to include workers' comp insurance into the Jim's insurance suite of products? It is quite expensive for our franchisees at the moment. particularly in the ACT, where it is more than the rest of Australia? Can the gyms group secure a discount?
I'll ask.
You'll ask.
I don't know if it's the same. Is workers' comp the same as general insurance? Can we do that?
No, I think it's actual injury or...
Yeah. Look, I can always ask Yadrin and the insurance team if they can do something for us.
Because what do we insure at the moment? What sort of insurance?
Well, we've got public risk, which is the key one, because we can't have franchises without public risk. Then we offer personal accident, illness, tools, all that kind of stuff too. We do some, you call it professional indemnity.
Yep.
Like from we do all those kinds of insurances. So also, we've got some pretty good deals on car and house insurance now, so people can put all their insurance under one package, which is nice, because they can also pay it off over the 12 months. So it's good. It's good.
Now, our next question is from John in the audience. John.
Hi Jim, just one out of left field. What's your favourite swimming stroke?
Breaststroke.
Breaststroke, nice. Any reason in particular?
I don't know, I just like it. I don't do a lot of swimming actually, but yeah, I enjoy breaststroke more than anything. But I'm more of a runner. Actually, my favourite exercise is working on my farm. Like last Saturday, I spent several hours hauling rocks around and gravel and filling in the track gets very muddy and gets a lot of potholes and stuff. And that was incredible fun. I really enjoy that. I love playing squash, don't I, Rachel?
Yes, you do.
What's the score currently?
4-0.
4-0.
But
She's got to get some practice and give me a good game sometime.
okay.
She's very fit, Rachel. But
Thanks
she's
for
just
3
weeks. You watch.
3 more weeks.
4-2.
Yeah. Once she picks up her game, she'll be brilliant because she gets up at 5:30 every morning and does exercise. So she's as fast as greased lightning. You just can't hit the ball properly.
Just can't return your chest.
As bad as what you might paint the picture at.
Yeah, you'll get better.
All right. So James Mitchell, who was our competition winner, has said, "Hey guys, had a fantastic time. Looking forward to catching up again." So
yes,
thanks for tuning in,
yes.
James.
Well, James is very impressive. Actually, he was really exciting. So telling us all about some of the marketing systems they use and the way they analysed websites. He was very surprised at the fact that our websites are so different, and he thinks there should be some common thing, which is true actually. And Joel's working on that.
Yeah,
I know.
Yeah, it's something he's working hard on. Probably why he needed the holiday time after trying to work through it. But,
yeah, very cluey guy. He won the Jim's meme competition. So the prize, believe it or not, was to have dinner with me. I don't know why anybody would want that, but still that's what he won. So we did that on Tuesday night,
Yes.
and it was good.
All right. Next question. This was again submitted during the week. To do with Gyms Plus. So I did say we had a Gyms Plus question coming up. So this is to do with jobs submitted through the Gyms Plus website. So you can there's a button there to ask for work.
Yep.
Do they go directly to the FSEs who owns the territory first, or are they available to the contractor?
Now the whole point about Gyms Plus is it's not Gyms advertising as such. So we show everybody who's down for work in that area. Gyms guys will get priority, but they'll give a choice. The whole point of Gyms Plus is to give people a choice. Gyms guys have a big advantage because of the fact that they've got $1 million worth of $1 million guarantee, $10 million public risk, and all kinds of things. So there's a plus there. But the idea is it's a different kind of service. But you can't really do it with territory rights because if you did, they wouldn't get any sort of choice. And the whole point is that people can look and they can say, oh well, here's this guy, this one, I'll choose them.
Yeah,
And they can see the reviews.
Yeah, the follow up on was that why would you become a franchisee when you can get leads? For I think how much is the total to sign
Well,
on
it's the same. It's the same lead fee as it's the minimum lead fee is the same as what the franchisees pay. Well, in a certain sense, if there's plenty of work around, you're probably just as well, and you're not paying your base fee. The big problem, of course, is that when the work dies down, then the Gyms Plus leads completely die off. So what happens is the idea is if you're Gyms Plus, you can get busy work here. But then the season goes off and you're down to there. Whereas if you're a Gyms franchise, it just continues because you get the preference.
Yes, exactly.
So it's kind of like, you look at it and say, well, with us you get work year round. And most of our franchises are busy most of the year.
You also get a lot more support you know,
Yeah.
from your
A lot of
franchisor,
support.
you get
The brand is helpful too, because when you go to quote a job, you can get a better price. And we know that the gym's extra is about 10-15%. Just the fact of being gyms, you can charge more, which actually more than covers the cost of the franchise fees. I mean, I happen to think it's a brilliant deal, but I wouldn't I?
Yeah, well, yes, exactly.
We've actually got some interest. We've got some people who've been in Gyms Plus who love the leads, who are interested in becoming franchisees. That's an increasing pattern, and that's the reason they say the leads are so good. Imagine if they could get more and more of them.
Yeah, exactly. So that was a question submitted during the week. We'll go back to the audience. This is from Adam. Adam had a question.
What's your favourite alcoholic drink, Jim?
Yeah, the if any's
That's a bit like when did you stop beating your wife, really, isn't it?
Each to their own.
Let me tell you, I did actually have a drink of alcohol. I had one last year, which was the first time in about 45 years. And a friend of mine was getting married, and went to a church service, and there was communion. So I had red wine from there. So I don't know if that answers your question, but
Did you enjoy it?
no, not really. It's disgusting. I only drunk in my whole life for a period of about a year. I didn't really like the taste of it anyway. I never liked the taste. Don't like the effects. I don't like alcohol. Sorry, I know you're holding, but
he's not judging you much.
nah, that's all right. If you want to be a drunkard and a sock, go ahead, drink your booze. But I think it's, I don't know. I don't like it.
Thank you.
What do you got there?
Roni, quite nice actually. You should try one.
No, I tell you what, the best drink is Wham! Hot water and milk. In fact, I use soy milk. You put about that much soy milk into a cup, the rest filled with hot water. That is the drink of kings. That beats what you're drinking hands down.
I don't know if I agree. 'Cause I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, I think I'd go the.
And it doesn't rot your liver either.
All right. So Steve Walcombe has gone hi from Canberra. Hi, Steve.
Hi, Steve.
Thanks for tuning in. Be sure to leave a comment or question. We're here for an hour, so if you have any questions for Jim, no matter what they are, we'll ask them. I have one from you here. His question is, what's your answer to creating world peace? Interesting topic at this sort of time. We've got a lot going on in sort of all around the world.
I don't think we're a particularly warlike time, but aggression comes out of character, as does everything else. Poverty, addiction, mental illness and stuff. It comes out of character, which has got a great deal to do with the epigenome, the way that our genes are turned on and off. So if you could develop systems that would improve character in certain ways, then it would help people to become more peaceful. Now, the point of it is that whether people would want to achieve it. But I don't think it's a political problem. It's a problem of attitude, of character. You look at a place like Afghanistan, for example. They love to fight there. I mean, they've beaten the Americans and the Australians and everybody else cold in Afghanistan, even though they've got so little money. The Taliban is just winning because they're very, very good at fighting. They're very ferocious. They're very aggressive. So how do you cope with that? I mean, unless you want to go in and start forcibly injecting people to make them, which is a bit, totalitarian. I don't think you can. I don't think you can solve war as such, except when people change their character to they don't want to fight war anymore. But there's plenty of things in my research which suggest why wars take place.
Yes.
To do with things like lemming cycles and so forth. Anybody's interested in that kind of subject, they read up on biohistory, and it explains a lot about why wars take place. Why patriarchal societies are more aggressive too, which you understand in terms of the way that makes women more anxious and transmits that to their infant boys and so forth. So there's all kinds of ways of understanding why wars take place.
What about things going on sort of in China at the moment? It's a very, very tense environment there, and
well, that's a very interesting pattern. China's going through a typical dynastic cycle, and what happens is it's a typical what I call a lemming cycle, where you get a slow decline into a period of anarchy and then a quick rise to a period of national unity. And the anarchy was about 1920, the warlord era in China, and we're now what's the dynastic peak of strength and unity, and China tends to be more aggressive at that time. But China's not a particularly aggressive civilization as things go. They tend to, when they become strong, like in the Tang or the Sung or the Ming dynasties or the Qing, they control the area around places like Manchuria and Mongolia, places like that. But then they've never been aggressive in the sense the way that say Russians have been, or other nations, or
that sort of mass expansion.
Persians or whatever.
Now, next question we have, I believe, is from Michael. Yes, just up the front there.
Thank you. Jim, I guess just some regards to your work background, what was the biggest mistake you've made in business?
Oh, you have to fight for that one. I made so many stupid mistakes. I tend to jump into things that I don't know very well. Like, for example, I've tried to start a trade exchange, and it really just didn't work. I thought we have clever technology to make it work. That's the sort of electronic currency where you exchange goods and services between businesses. That cost me a heap of money. My wife was adamant it was a terrible idea, and she was right in the end, as usual. I tried to get a holiday resort going years ago. Lost a packet of money. I mean, I just do so many stupid things. I often hire the wrong people. Not now, I hope. I mean, Jake seems all right so far, but I just need to make one dumb mistake after the other. I don't know. So I often look at my career and I think, how on earth could this idiot ever succeed at anything? I don't know. But one thing I have learned is to stick to my knitting. Don't try and get into areas that you don't understand. And we're focusing more and more on the core of Jim's, which is making sure that franchises are looked after, that customers are looked after, that we're efficient in what we do, greater automation, just focusing on the things we do well and not trying to get too distracted. And I'd ask anybody, advise to anybody, just work out something and then focus. People change too much. They go into something and the grass seems greener over there, but often where you are is the best place to be.
Do you find is that one of the tactics that you've used to sort of stop making those sort of bad decisions? Is just more focus, or have you sort of been a bit more skeptical about new ideas landing across your desk, or
yes,
better people around you?
Well, actually, I've got a business advisor, a guy called Marcus Koch, who's through my Christian context. He's a great guy actually, and he works about half time without pay for a missionary organisation, which is amazing guy. And he just comes in. He comes in about half a day a month, and we just go through the ideas. And he gives me very good guidance as to what we should do and shouldn't do. Extraordinary guy. Mm. So I think having good advisors is very important. He's kind of like a business mentor to me.
Mm. Yeah, it's a great question. Thank you for that one. UMesh has gone. I'm very proud. Jim's cleaning franchise in Bundaberg. So thanks to UMesh for watching. Kim has gone. Don't you just think Jim's Dog Wash is the best franchise? By the way, Kim here from Jim's Dog Wash New Zealand. I don't know.
These guys never.
They're relentless. Dog Wash.
They never shut up, do they? They're the noisiest, rambunctious, especially since this lady here actually got involved in it. It's changed the character somehow, but it's very lively. It's done well, actually. I mean, just a few years ago, Jim's Dog Wash was a basket case. We had like 32 franchisees, and the others, Aussie Pooch, Mobile, and the rest were killing us. And now we've got like 100 and how many? 127. It's been an amazing story. It's great.
Yeah, well done.
But why wouldn't we have 1,000? I mean, one in three Australian households has got a dog. So I reckon it could be huge. The biggest problem with dog wash is the sheer cost of the trailers. They're fantastic trailers, the fiberglass trailers, and they're great for the jobs, and they've got air conditioning and gas heating of the water, and they're really custom designed based on franchisee feedback to be absolutely brilliant. But you know, the $25,000 price is a big issue.
Yeah, we actually went out and did some filming with the trailers, so you can do it, see a full walkthrough on our YouTube and Facebook channel if you want to see what those trailers are like. They are fantastic trailers.
They're the best trailers, because the way we do anything like a mowing trailer or a dog wash trailer, we don't just think of a design and say, okay, here it is. We do something and then get feedback, and we get constant feedback. Even little things like making which you mightn't think of if you're building one, making the drainage hole from the hydro bath bigger, because when somebody's finished washing the dog, they want to get the water out in a hurry so they can get to the next job. So little things like that, making it easier to clean, and things like adding the air conditioning, because we used to have real problems, especially up north. People couldn't work during the heat of the day. So we just keep on working out ways to make it better and better and better.
Yeah, it's constantly evolving. Shaylee in the live feed has gone, I would love a Jim's teddy. Are they available for sale? I don't think so. We get a lot of questions about these teddies.
Well,
we really should.
We've got to get some teddies.
Yeah.
This is a teddy. This is good, I reckon.
Yeah, we should.
I had a teddy when I was a kid, actually, a bit more ragged than that one, but.
Yeah. It's interesting you mentioned that. We did have a question come through during the week, which was, what do you miss most about your childhood? Is it your teddy?
Everyone misses it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was a funny kid. I was crazy about dinosaurs, and I used to make up schemes of dinosaur empires ruling the galaxy and stuff like that. I had and write stuff about it. So I didn't. But I much prefer to be grown up, honestly. Yeah. I reckon kids
more enjoyable.
Yeah, it's more fun.
Yeah.
Finish the sentence. Kids are. You were gonna say.
Yeah, you were gonna say. I enjoy being an adult. Kids are. ...
But kids are wonderful. I absolutely adore my kids. The saddest thing in my life right now, apart from the fact that I'm going to snuff it in about another 20 years, is the fact that my kids are growing up. You know, we've only got 3 left at home now. One's just finishing VCE. And when our daughters are gone, we've only got my wife and I and our son, Aaron, which is good, but it's so little. I wish I could have a kid every 2 years forever. That would be my perfect life. Just a couple of years, one kid after another, keep on going forever. That would be my idea of paradise. I love kids. I really enjoy them.
But you don't like being one. You want to be the adult.
I don't want to be a kid.
Yeah. No. I'd never stop being a kid, so I'm still a kid. Joel in the live feed has gone Burns and Bobo. So I don't know whether you remember Mr. Burns's.
Oh yes.
He tries to get his bear from Maggie. So he tried to buy it for $1 million, I believe.
Yeah, there's my hero, Montgomery Burns.
Yeah, I saw your little figurine of Mr. Burns that you got.
Somebody gave me one of the kids came to training. She gave me to him. It was really beautiful. It's stuck up in my room, up on the windowsill in my office.
We probably should put it on the set for us, Jim, in future. That'll be a nice little reference.
Yeah, we should. We should. I think people underestimate Montgomery Burns. He's a true hero of capitalism. You know.
You do love him. As for the bears, though, we will have to look into that.
Want to have some bears? Come on.
Yeah, we've had a lot, and
the hats are going well.
The hats are going well.
Lots of interest in hats.
We sold like 10 T-shirts the other day to one group. No idea why they bought them. We tried to contact them to work out like why they were buying. So not that they shouldn't have 10 Jim's T-shirts, but it was just very bizarre. So we'll look into the bears. Plus, I think I need to replace one. I think I lost one at one stage. So Sylvia has come knocking on my door every day that I've lost one of her bears. Next question, we will go from Brian. Brian, okay.
I was just wondering, what are your thoughts on battery technology?
Oh, it's very exciting, actually. I love the fact that it's getting closer. I can't wait to get to the stage where my farm can go off the grid. I don't mind feeding electricity into the grid, but I want to be able to be self-sufficient. And I want to drive an electric car. I'd like to have it purely powered by solar energy from my own solar panels. I think that's just incredibly exciting. I mean, it can't improve fast enough, obviously, from all of our points of view, but it's great. I mean, battery-powered mowers are great. And we're developing this, as we talked about in the past, this trailer that actually will charge the mower from solar energy as you drive around. And I love battery powered mowers. I've been using one on my farm, and it's quiet, and there's no vibration, and it's easy to start, and it's low maintenance. They're absolutely brilliant, and it's exciting. You know, I think the end of the internal combustion, it can't come any too quick for me. And it's also a big problem with global warming. If you can generate electricity in a sustainable fashion, and the big problem with things like wind and sun is that it's intermittent. So if your batteries are good enough, then we could actually live on battery power. Even planes for short flights. It's great.
And how is that trailer going, the mowing trailer? We've been talking about it for a while. Do we have an update on it, or is it still in the design phase?
They had to, Mouse's has to be a bit wider to be able to fit the thing on stably, so they're still working on the design.
Yeah, so
but
it's still a while off yet.
It's coming.
Yeah. All right, now I've got another question from Eric. He was talking to me about this earlier in the day, came into my office to tell me this, but he's put it in the live feed. So this is Jim, Eric from Jim's Mobile Cafe has gone, Jim, have you considered an award for new franchisees that have shown exceptional service and commitment in the first year of joining gyms? This could be done at the same time as the other awards are presented and would encourage new franchisees. Franchisors would be able to nominate only one of the new franchisees for an award.
Well, we're looking at different kinds of awards, not specifically for new franchisees as such. Often it's for the ones that have stayed around for a while. Like I'm now making a practice of ringing franchisees on their big anniversary, 10, 15, 20 years. We're looking at awards for franchisees who get so many 5-star surveys in a row. Yeah. We're looking at prizes. We've got a beach house which we want to use as a prize for franchisees. We don't work out who to give it to. So it's kind of the use of the beach house, especially in the off season. So we'd like to look at a lot of really good ways to recognise franchisees who do well, whether they're new or whether they're ongoing.
Yeah, because we as you were saying, we do have some awards for sort of long service, but there's not much in that sort of first year. Could we do like a sort of, having X amount of good ratings within a set period, or sort of the idea I had for it was sort of something like the Boy Scouts, where you can have sort of pins for achievements that you've done throughout your business, and it could take you a year, it could take you 10 years to achieve that. Is that something that we could do, sort of just to...
I'm open to ideas, especially, I mean, we give people things like they get special shirts for being in a period of time. They get 5-star stickers that go on their trailers or their vehicles to recognise good work, achievement, great customer service. So one of the great things about surveys is that they're inherently positive. Most franchisees actually do quite well. So it's a way of recognising it. And I would, several times a day, I would have contact with a franchisee and be able to say, great surveys, great customer service, which is nice to be able to say something. It's much better than just simply the absence of complaints, because most franchisees get few or no complaints anyway. But a survey is something positive. So we also want to be able to survey clients too, actually.
Send them a text or a...
Sorry, not survey. I mean, I'm sorry. Survey our franchisees and what they think of clients.
Oh, okay. So spin it the other way around.
That's one of the things. Like in Uber. In Uber, you survey the driver, but the driver gets to survey you too. And I think that's something we would really like to do, because most clients are pretty decent, but some are absolute animals. They really are horrible.
What would the end result for that be? If a client has too many bad surveys, do they get blacklisted?
We don't service. We already have that. We have a thing called a red list, a red note. Yeah. That if a client who's red noted, like a bad payer or somebody who's been abusive or difficult, if they contact us, we say we can't help you. Yes. We'd like to extend that. And also we can give franchisees, particularly the better ones, the right to say, okay, if the client's below a certain level, like even a client who keeps on asking for quotes and doesn't accept them. Yeah. That's not a particularly valuable lead, so we'd like to be able to reward our best franchisees by saying, hey, if you can actually choose not to get the poorer rate clients, to try and give them a bit of recognition and so forth.
Yeah. So that's an excellent question, Eric. Definitely could be done, something that we do in terms of recognising new franchisees.
Look, I'm open to ideas. It's just a case of what's the best way to do it. In a sense, we don't lose a lot of franchisees in the first year. It's when they've been going 3 or 4 years we tend to be really more concerned. And obviously, the longer a franchisee is with us, the more valuable they are to us. So somebody who's been with us, like this guy that I rang the other time, who's 25 years, that's a very special kind of person.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
And we do tend to recognise that too, so that when franchisees get to a certain level they want to re-sign, it's kind of like, we'll often do an official deal of some kind, like a lower fees or something of that nature, because they're so important. Not basically because of their long service, but also because they're just a good example of somebody who's stuck around for such a long time.
Great testament to the brand of sort of how secure it is, and how much of a good system it is, really.
Yeah, I think it's a pity people don't stick around longer. I know, again, I've got an interest as a franchisor, but you spend so much time just learning to do something well. And I think one of my successes, if you can say, is that I've stuck to the same trade for, how long would it be now? Since I've been gardening continuously since I was 18.
That is
a gardening business, lawn mowing business, part-time, full-time. So I've really stuck to the same trade, and after you've done things for a while, you become good at it, well, to some extent anyway.
Yeah. So that's a brilliant question, Eric. Well, definitely something we can look into. All right, got quite a long question from Umesh here. All right, so as for local brand awareness in my area, what can you do to help? I am 2 years into my business and I'm doing extremely well with it. I now have X amount of staff that work full time for me. Wow. I do a lot of local marketing. I've joined the local Bundaberg Chamber of Commerce and generate lots of leads from here. I do a lot of door knocking, flyer drop-offs, etc. I still come across a lot of clients that tell me that they are not aware of the cleaning division. I have joined 2 other networking groups. I've followed the franchise system diligently. I've received more leads from high pages over gyms. I've been told that we will have our own website. This was over 3 months ago. Please note, I'm not complaining, just want more help in getting our brand more available to the local community. And I feel as this will also attract more franchisees. Please help me to grow even further.
Well, you might get more leads from high pages, but I can bet your britches they're not good leads. They go to several different people and they tend to be based on the cheapest price. And the people that I know, one of the problems we have when we're approaching contractors for Gyms Plus is that people have used high pages and they hate it because it's all cheap and it's all ultra competitive. Our quotes are not competitive at all. Look, in terms of finding more work, but the one thing you didn't mention was the gym's internal networking group. Yeah. And there's some software we've got, and if you're not doing that, you really should get it going. Join the local group or start one yourself. And what happens is that people from different divisions, it has to be only one per division, they get together and they meet. Like, for example, they might meet every fortnight at McDonald's. And what they do is they exchange, they do work for each other, and they learn to recommend each other. And we had one of these groups going in Mooroolbark as a trial, and they picked up a phenomenal amount of work, like $90,000 worth of work. So I would suggest the best thing you can do is to get one of these groups going. And if you want some help with that, just call up National Office or contact me, and we'll show you how to do it. And then contact other people from the area, especially ambitious people like yourself, people who really want to build large client base. And then you refer jobs back and forth. Because we've got 50 plus divisions. How many other divisions can refer work to you and you can refer work to them? I think that's the one big thing I'd suggest to focus on. The trouble with it is that what happens, people who get into these groups quickly get so much work that they get flooded with work and they stop doing it. They just don't need to anymore. But if you're really hungry for work and you want to grow your network, that would be great to do.
Do you have a sort of 5-year plans? How do you want to expand the brand of gyms? Is there a plan that you have to sort of increase it? Is there more franchisees on the road? Because obviously that's one of our biggest forms of advertising is trailers on the road.
Well, look, I have 2 fundamental aims that I've had for the last 30 years, and I want my franchisees to be happier and my clients to be happier. I mean, they're your fundamentals of if you can make that work. Because if your franchisees are happy, they're going to want to stay with you. Other people will come in. If your clients are happy, you'll get more work in, which will also keep you. So I see enormous potential particularly in IT. We're investing nearly $2 million a year on IT. We've got some really incredible programs coming out that can really help to improve service at every level. And I see that as and we're learning a bit about sales too. We're learning that some people, franchisors, get great at support. They're not necessarily so good at selling. So we're actually developing a sales team to help sell franchises. That's one thing that's come about that's been very successful recently.
So thanks for that question, Umesh. Remember, leave your comments or questions. Jim's happy to answer pretty much anything.
Pretty much anything. I've never refused to answer
any
any
question. That is true. You've never actually knocked something back.
Never.
So
I get some weird questions at these sessions, but I've never said no to anything.
We do have some weird questions. David McDonald, who tunes in just about every week, I think, has gone, Jim, how often do you read the franchisee forum? and how often is it accessed? I think it is a great tool, however, it tends to not get much used by Zs.
Yes, we don't actually. I put a notice in the newsletter actually inviting people to go on it. I tend to drop on, well, I go in occasionally. Like in the last couple of weeks I've been on and off. But sometimes when there's not much going on, I don't go in. But if anybody tells me it's stuff on the forum, I'll jump in and have a look at it. And I'm always responding to things. It's good actually, I like it because it's a way of hearing what franchisees are thinking and you know, what their issues are and what their complaints are and how we can do things better. It's one of the hardest things actually in my position is to get franchisees to talk to me. And that's not strange, but I want to hear what the issues are, which is what, again, this kind of thing is helpful too. Yeah, exactly. But the forum, people emailing me, people phoning me, it's actually one of my major jobs is just to keep in touch with what franchisees think. And the biggest problem to a large extent is because people perceive me as being someone that's important, therefore I must be very short of time. You know, I'm sorry to interrupt you, I know you're busy. Well, I'm not really busy, I'm pretty slack sort of bastard, really. I mean, I got plenty of time. And you can tell that because if you do send me an email, jim@jims.net, you just wait to see how quickly I get back to you. Usually it's within 2 or 3 hours.
Yeah, you're pretty good with your emails. He's followed up, David McDonald. He said, got an email today about the price of Jim's jobs. Jimbo was great. Why not just bring it back?
Because it wasn't popular.
No.
Look, all these things we've tried. I mean, it's been a nightmare. Okay, we started up with Jim's Jobs, which is a very simple, like PC-based program. A lot of people liked it, very simple to use. And then we said we're going to get into more elaborate stuff. So we got this thing called Jimbo going. Some people liked it, some people still use it, but generally speaking, got very negative reviews on it. And it just seemed an impossible structure. Then we tried Formatize. Again, some people like it, some people swear by it. Generally find it hard to use, poor support. So we've decided, after massive consultations, just to go and develop Jim's Jobs because the basic program is so simple to use.
Do you think people are going to like Jim's Jobs? Is it very different to sort of everything else that's sort of come out in the past?
It's very simple to use. Yeah. I think you want a program that a person can jump into and immediately start using it, understand how it works. Yeah. And Jim's Jobs is very popular. Like people kept on saying, what about, when we tried all these different ones, they said Jim's Jobs is so good to use. It's the best, it's the easiest, it's better than anything. So what we want to do is to maintain the usability of Jim's Jobs, but make it fully mobile. Yeah. And so it can be, you can carry it on you. Jim's Jobs is going to do fantastic stuff. Like I was talking today to a lady who's, I was actually deleting a complaint. And it's a dog wash actually, dog wash franchisee. And I was having a look at another complaint and it happened beforehand. And this lady had great record, but then there was this thing about not bringing a client back. So I asked her, why did you do that? She said, well, when the call came in, I was washing this big dog. And so I just forgot about it. Now, one of the things that Jim's Jobs will do, it'll remind you. So if you don't call the client back quickly, it'll beep, 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 warn you haven't called them back. Beep, 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 beep. It'll keep on telling you. And then when you do call the client back, if you can't get through, you can just press a button and say couldn't get through and it'll send a text out automatically. And it'll follow up quotes automatically and it will remind you to do things. I think it'll be a tremendous help to help franchisees look after clients better. Because I go through most complaints in gyms every day. I look at them and I read them and look at what's going on. And I see the same kinds of problems again and again. And I'd like to really work out a way to help franchisees do better. Because we know that a franchisee gives great service, they're far more likely to report good income and far less likely to report poor income, they're less likely to leave. So anything we can do to help franchisees look after clients better is great.
Now just a quick follow-up for David, then we'll get back to the audience questions. He says, can we have a free trial of Jim's Jobs for 3 months?
Well, it's paid for by the technology fee anyway, so there's no cost.
Oh, so Jim's Jobs is free, or will there be a?
Well, the franchisees, of course, yes.
Okay, yeah.
If you're an independent and you want to use it, you're going to be paying for it, like $30 a month or whatever, but not for our people, of course not.
No. All right, excellent. So we will go to Charlene, I believe. Yes. Jim's dog wash. You can always tell. They're always quiet when everyone else's questions get read out. Dog wash!
Hi Jim, I want to know if you have a dog. If you do, how many, and
Describe one characteristics.
We have a dog. It's a caboodle, which we get because my wife's very allergic. I had a cat and she just about died from it. Not that she's a lovely lady, my wife. She really is. She's a saint to put up with me, apart from anything else. But because and so there's this little, you know what caboodles are like? They're little things with like woolly fur and stuff. The girls in our household, particularly Leon, they go absolutely ape over this. They're like a baby, substitute baby. They're always cuddling it, like that. You know what women are like with babies. I don't know. Actually, I used to have a German Shepherd, and that was a great dog. That's more my style. I like to rather than the lap dog. But he's a good watchdog. He makes a terrific racket when anybody comes near the house. So from that point of view, he's good. Keeps the girls happy, that's for sure. And Jim's dog wash does an absolutely fantastic job of washing and clipping.
We're number one.
Couldn't do without Jim's dog wash. No.
Yeah, I was at your house filming for the day in the life. I can testify to the dog definitely does keep people away. Loves to bark.
Yeah, but I didn't. Yeah. Knew Jake was a stranger.
Yeah, didn't like me. Did not like me.
But he doesn't like men for some reason. Actually, women is more tolerant of women. But men get a real. I mean, I didn't get barked at much, but. But mind you, the dog bit me the other day, so it's
now Todd has commented here. How is our star rating used for lead allocation outside of our territory? Can you please explain this?
Okay, if you are below a certain level, and we only count leads surveys since June, you get a slightly lower preference, other things being equal. In other words, if you've got two people who've got exactly the same preference for the right to a job, which is based on things like how many jobs you've had in the last 3 days and that kind of stuff. If they're exactly equal, then the person who's on 4.6 will get preference over the person who's on 4.2. So there is a very slight, but if once the person on the 4.6 has got one job, they drop down, and the 4.2 person will get the next job if it's a direct comparison. I'd have to say though that we're talking about less than 10% of our franchisees who would be affected by that negatively, because most franchisees do better than that.
So thanks for that question, Todd. He also says hi from Sarah and Todd. So hello. Now we've got a question from Mutib. Yep. Mike's slacking off.
You have done the mowing for a long time. So when you thought that it is the time to start this company, Jim Group, why?
Well, there was never any particular time. I just there was never any time I said, hey, this is a good business. It just sort of gradually grew. See, when I started off, it was a student job, and I was going to be an academic, which thank goodness I didn't succeed, because that's horrible. I hate academia. The petty, the bureaucracy, the infighting, it's an awful thing. So fortunately, I failed in that, my aim to become an academic, and then I didn't know how to do anything except mow lawns. So I went out mowing lawns because that was something to do until my real job came along. And then I started the franchise, and even then I didn't think it was something, it would be long term. That's when I tried to get my holiday resort underway, and that didn't work. But so it just only gradually occurred to me that this was a pretty good business, but very, very gradually. Even years into the franchise, I was looking to sell it to anybody. I entertained various offers. Right now, I wouldn't sell it for less than $1 billion, quite frankly, which is insanely more than it's worth. So, because I love it, and it's such a fantastic business. But it took a long time to recognise that.
That's a good answer.
Yeah, it was a good question. Next question is from Heidi. Yes, up the front. Hang on.
This could be a weird question, but I'll ask you.
I get a lot of weird questions. They're the best. They're the best.
Yeah, give me some tips on waking up at 5 o'clock every day, every morning.
Well, you have to ask Rachel that. She wakes up at 5 o'clock. I don't. I get up about 7.
Question, but I asked during her lecture.
And I'm sorry to say this, but I have an incredibly gorgeous wife. So getting me out of bed too early is not going to be possible. I get up to drive the kids to school. I'll get up and I'll have my run. and a bit of breakfast, porridge, and then I'd drive the kids to school, and then just start work.
That is the trick.
It's discipline is very important. I'm not nearly as fanatical as this lady here, though. Rachel is something else. But to me, half an hour a day exercise is good. But you just got to. The thing to do with anything is to get into habits. There's a wonderful book called Your Future Self Will Thank You, which is a Christian version, but it's all about. And what it talks about is how you develop self-discipline. And the idea is you develop habits of behavior. It's like when you're driving, you don't think about, now do I put my foot on do I do this, do I blink? You just do it automatically. And in fact, if you drive the same way, you don't even think about the route, you can actually hardly be aware you're going. So it becomes an unconscious habit. When you want to be healthy, you just develop habits which in the beginning will take effort, but the longer you do it, it becomes easier. Like when I have a run on the treadmill, it's just like an everyday thing. And then I go and have a cold shower. People think that's pretty weird, but in fact, you hardly even think about it. It's just so automatic. It just happens. Put the porridge on and eat that, and just do things that are habits. And the same thing with the way I approach emails and so forth. You just got to start by discipline to get yourself into a habit. And if you do it for 2 or 3 months, you get to the stage where it becomes easier and easier and easier. And don't try and do too much at once. That's the general advice.
So set an alarm, but if you're anything like me, it'll be 5:05, 5:06, 5:07, and you still won't be out of bed. All right. Now our next question here is from Ranit. Sorry. That's close. Oh, sorry.
Jim, I was just curious about the medium future for innovation across the Jim's group in terms of technology.
We've never been more innovative. The stuff that's going on right now with the development of Jim's jobs, our team of technology team has risen dramatically in size. There's so many things going on. We're developing Jim's jobs. We're developing Jimbo, which is the program that will help franchisors to contact franchisees and make them more effective. We're automating a whole lot of processes to do with complaints, for example, and surveys to make it easier to control them, looking at better ways to coach franchisees using technology. We are automating financial processes. There is just so many things. There's the Jim's Plus program going on. There's just a whole massive program. We've never, ever, ever been innovating as much as we are right now, which to me is exciting, actually. I mean, often somebody was asking me, they did an interview and they asked me, what are you good at? And I said, well, not really very much. And so I could tell him all the stupid mistakes I made and stuff. And he said, you must be good at something. And I said, yeah, well, I'm very original. I'm very innovative in my way of thinking. Like Jim's is a very unusual company. Our things like the ability to move regions to a different franchisor, to vote out your franchisor, or the way we classify territories. A lot of it's very, very unusual thinking. So I think that's the biggest talent we've got. And I'm always a believer in you look at what you do all the time. You keep your basic philosophy, which is always the same, right from the beginning. There's fundamentals, which is service to franchisees, service to customers. But everything else has got to change. You're constantly looking at everything you're doing, which is one reason I love to have franchisee feedback, because that's one of the best ways of finding out what's going wrong, how can we do better, and listening all the time, every day, to ideas. How can we improve? How can we improve? And I wander around the office and I talk to people. Always the same thing. What can we do better? That is the thing. It's the idea for any business too. It doesn't matter whether you're running a business like mine, or whether you're washing dogs or mowing lawns or whatever you're doing. The thing to do is to look at what you're doing all the time and saying, how can I do it better? And the difference between, it's not like people think that success is some brilliant idea or brainwave. It's not that. It's 1,000 little incremental ideas.
All right, that was a fantastic question. We'll go to our last question from the audience, which was from John.
Jim, back to your academic days. What was your PhD topic about? History, I believe.
Yes. I went to university to try and work out why civilizations rise and fall. That was my fundamental idea, looking at the patterns behind them. Originally, I studied on sociology, which I quickly came to believe was a complete load of garbage. Switched to history, and then when I was in history, I started looking at other things like cross-cultural anthropology and zoology and biology, and came to the conclusion that the way to understand human society is through biology, in effect, through an understanding of animal behaviour and the biology of the way our bodies are made up. So that was which of course is why I couldn't get a job, because that was completely wildly unorthodox. So it was actually called a theory of social change, but it went so far away from normal history that that's what it was about. And later on, I've developed that in the period since then. Like I would, when I could get a day off work, I would go down to Monash Medical Library and read up on primate social behaviour, and then I started the research program about 10 years ago, originally at Latrobe University, and now I've got our own institute. So mostly now it's in terms of epigenetics and those kinds of things. So yes, the broad theory of social change. I mean, if my approach was accepted, I would be one of the most, which is a huge if, of course, because it's so wildly different from anybody else. It will be one of the greatest scientific breakthroughs of the last century. I mean, to put it mildly, because it completely overturns all assumptions about societies and how they work and why they work. But there's a long way to go, because it really clashes with orthodox thinking in so many different ways. You know, why do wars take place? Why do economies flourish? All kinds of things, or even minor stuff like why does the Chinese dynasties collapse? You know, why are lemmings more susceptible to disease at certain stages of the cycle? There's a whole stack of different things in that.
That was a brilliant question, John. Thank you for that. We got David on the routine. He says, "I climb ladders and stairs all day. Roofs aren't on the ground. Roofs aren't on the ground. I get enough exercise at work, but I do have a pie or sausage roll occasionally. Your discipline model is great. I started writing lists and just ticking them off helps me great throughout the day." So thanks for that again, David.
That's good. That's good.
We'll go our final question here. We've got from you. How's your new book about franchising coming along?
Oh, difficult. I've been trying to write it. Catherine Millenshop was who wrote the Jim's book. That one there was helping me do it, but it's just to get the tone right is very difficult. It sounds a lot like self-serving. Yeah. So I don't know about that. At the moment, it's not going at all. Right. So are you cutting the idea, or is it? Yeah. I'd still like to write a book called "To Make Australia Fair," which is about ways in making society fairer for people, especially the less privileged. Again, very unusual ideas, and I would like that to be part of it, because the way our society works is the whole structure tends to enrich the elites and give them a lot more say and a lot more position than they should have. And I think that's unfair. So that's the basic theme. And franchising comes into this, because when you're talking about a franchise, even though a person who owns a Pizza Hut franchise isn't, most people regard as they're not a pleb, but still by comparison with the franchisor, they're a lot weaker. So I'm always interested in the weaker party of any transaction, which is the way that Jim is structured to be, fair, to give franchisees a lot more clout. So I am still playing around with the idea of a book, but I mean, I must say it's very hard to discipline myself. I don't know.
Yeah, but when you're so involved in the topic, it's...
I've got so many things happening all the time that it's kind of difficult to focus on something like that.
It's interesting that you mentioned the poverty, because we did talk about that in the podcast on Monday, if you did want to take a look at that. So that's about it for tonight. We'll do the books. Did you have a favourite question? Two favourite questions from the night?
What has anybody else got any other questions that they haven't asked that come up?
I think we got through everyone that had questions. So we're right on 8 o'clock. You want to do the books?
Yeah, sure.
So did you have two favourite questions?
I like the question about world peace. Who asked it?
World peace was you. Yep, I know who that was. Yep, and one more.
Well, I like the one about my PhD topic and what it was about. That's obviously one of my favourite topics, if you're interested in that. I'll give you a copy of Biohistory, if you like. Who asked that question? Yeah. I'll give you a copy of Biohistory. That is very revolutionary thinking. You look at that book, and it'll change your way of thinking about almost everything that's going on in society right now, including why the invasion of Iraq is such a fiasco, including why economies aren't rising the way they used to. There's just so many different things that it can explain, or you can have a different viewpoint anyway, put it that way.
And do you want to give one or more away from the audience? So we've got one from the stream, and then we'll do two in the audience. Do you want to do one more?
Oh, what a good question. Someone asked about self-discipline. Who was that?
Self-discipline.
Was that you?
Yes.
Oh, that's a good question.
Yes, actually, I should have asked from Rachel the other day, but I thought I might ask from you.
It's ask Jim, not ask Rachel. It just doesn't roll off the tongue as much.
Look, my fundamental belief is that life is about character more than anything else. Developing habits of self-discipline. Being in business isn't so much a matter of having lots of smart ideas and innovations. It's basic fundamental character, caring about what you do and who you do it with, and having the discipline and the habits of mind to be able to keep working on something, keep on changing, keep on developing it. So it's a great question.
Yeah, I need to start waking up from tomorrow onwards. That's my that's
5 a.m.
It's not easy, Rachel. It might be for you, but it's not easy for us mere mortals. Sorry.
Got to start somewhere.
5:30. Is it 5 o'clock or 5:30 you get up?
5:15, really.
5:15 for a bit of a sleep in.
You slacker.
I know, right?
It's got no one to keep her in bed.
Yeah.
It's the best time of day.
It is too, yeah.
Yep.
All right.
We'll leave it there for tonight. Thank you very much for watching. If you do want to listen to more of Jim's, we do a podcast every Monday. You can get that on any of your podcast apps. You can also watch the video on Facebook and YouTube. You can also follow Jim at the Jim Penman on Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook. And remember, we do this every week, 7 o'clock. So we'll see you next week. Thanks for watching. See you later.
Okay.